Wow. Breathe. Good?
Yep, we're recording.
All right, thank you. Okay, I will call the meeting to order. I have 7:04. It's June 12th, 2025. Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. Roll call. Flores.
Hussein,
Here.
Jost, Jackson, Mason Jack,
Here.
Podolsky,
Here.
Pelletier here.
All right. So first, public comments, agenda items only. Okay. One of you don't. All right. So we are going to make a slight adjustment to the agenda. We are going to go to under new business, the presentation of the 2024 audit. And Martha is here from Fiscal. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So we'll let you take it away. So, I mean, you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but, you know, we want you to, you don't have to, so.
And the board has the two documents from Fiscal, both the communication and the annual financial report.
Perfect. I'm just pulling up my notes, but good evening, I'm Martha Trotter. I am here on behalf of Sikich in Brian's stead. Brian was unable to make the meeting tonight, so I'll be presenting the results of the fiscal year 2024 audit. As part of the audit process, we issue the annual financial report and the board communication report, so those are the two packets that you've had hopefully another time had a chance to review. I'll be going through those two documents in detail to assist in your review and understanding of the process and commenting on the audit process overall. So that is.
Did you guys want to look at these while she's referring to that?
Thank you.
So just bear with me as I pull up my notes. So I'll begin with the annual financial report, which is the larger of the two packets that you have. And that is where you'll find the audited financial statements, the independent auditor's opinion on those financial statements, and reading through, you'll be able to see the fiscal year 2024 balances, both from a full accrual basis of accounting as well as from a modified accrual basis of accounting. So there's two sets of financial statements within the basic financial statements. And they have two different methods of accounting and presentation, so that's what I'll be reviewing with you tonight. A little slow on my machine right now. So the independent auditor's report is on pages 1 through 3 of the financial statements. Since you have the hard copies in front of you, I'll just go off of the page numbers as they're listed. And this is where you'll find our independent auditor's opinion based on the procedures that were performed in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards. So based on all the testing procedures that were completed, I am pleased to be able to present a clean, unmodified opinion on the library's financial statements, and that is the highest level of assurance that we can issue. That's essentially what that lets you know, is that these audited financial statements can be relied upon and based on the procedures that were required to complete in accordance with those auditing standards. And I do like to acknowledge at this point in time the amount of effort that goes into preparation for an audit, and we do have, as part of any audit, a great amount of requests in order to be able to prepare these financial statements and issue that clean, unmodified opinion. So I want to extend our team's appreciation and gratitude for all of the effort that was put forth on behalf of the library in preparation for the audit and ensuring the requests that we make are completed on a timely basis. I know our team was met with very professional and very timely responses, and we were able to issue that highest level of opinion on these audited financial statements. So I think it's just a good point in time to acknowledge that level of effort that's provided and completed by the library as part of the audit process. And that's, of course, in addition to all the daily operations that must be maintained. So it's a lot of work, and we do want to acknowledge and extend our appreciation for that. There is one paragraph that I wanted to call to your attention in the independent auditor's report, change in accounting principle. So for the fiscal year ended December 31st, 2024, there was a change, an implementation of GASB statement number 101 that was required, and as part of that, it was a change in how the compensated absences liabilities were calculated and reported and presented in the financial statements. It did result in a restatement to the library's net position, so you'll see that in the financial statements as I'm going through those. It was just a requirement from GASB to take into consideration sick time balances that can be that accumulate and can be used in future periods that previously had not been captured as a liability on those financial statements. So it did result in a restatement of net position that was a reduction in the beginning net position, as well as an increase in that compensated absences liability, and just once again required some additional preparation by the library to ensure that this was implemented correctly. However, our opinion, as is noted in this paragraph, was not modified based on the implementation of this standard.
So this is, they look at the vacation time that everyone still has available at the end of the year.
Basically.
So if there's been something big that, where someone saved up their time, since we're on a rolling basis. I was actually surprised by that, because I didn't realize that hadn't been incorporated in the past in that way. So, because we have to pull it up for other reports that we do in terms of actuarial stuff. So.
And so that's one of those balances that's only presented on those full accrual financial statements. Those are considered long-term liabilities, and that takes me to the statements on pages 4 and 5. On page 4, you'll find the statement of net position. So this is presented on a full accrual basis of accounting. That's the long-term lens of the library. So you're looking at the balances incorporating long-term assets, such as capital assets, net of accumulated depreciation, as well as the library's what are considered long-term liabilities as defined by GASB. So those include those net pension liabilities of the library for IMRF and the MERF funds, as well as those compensated absences, those items that are not expected to be paid within or extinguished within a year, but are long-term in nature. So the statement of activities on page 5, for that same basis of accounting, you'll see that the library's net position for the fiscal year ended December 31st, 2024 showed an increase of $905,737. That was essentially an improvement in the net position of the library on that full accrual basis of accounting. And then here's on page 5 is also where you'll see that restatement related to that change in accounting principles that resulted in a reduction of the beginning net position. And the reason for the restatement is that GASB pronouncements are required typically to be implemented not prospectively but retrospectively. So we looked at what the liability balance was at January 1st of the fiscal year. That's that restatement. So that would have been, had the library been reporting this the previous year, that was the change related to that. And then you'll see in the change from the January 1st to December 31st, that is represented in the footnotes to the financial statements and a change in the financial activity of the fiscal year. On page 6 is the balance sheet for governmental funds. So the library reports the general fund and the special reserve fund as a non-major fund. So those two funds are presented here on a modified accrual basis of accounting. So this is more in line with what you're used to reviewing on a monthly basis when you review financial reporting. Those don't include those long-term assets and liabilities here. So the assets and receivables that are reported are presented for any items that are expected to be collected within the availability period, so 60 to 90 days of the fiscal year end. And the liabilities are your typical accounts payable and those sort of items that are expected to be paid out or extinguished within 1 year of the fiscal year end. So those are those shorter term and more current items that are reported here on that modified accrual basis of accounting. The general fund's fund balance for the fiscal year increased $50,799, and the special reserve fund had an increase in its fund balance of $2,469. So both funds saw an improvement in the fund balance. The unassigned fund balance that's reported is what is essentially what the library has available to fund subsequent fiscal year operations. Following the balance sheet and the statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in fund balances are the footnotes to the financial statements. I'm not going to go into much detail on the footnotes. They begin on page 10. They do include information about the library's significant accounting policies, information on the library's debt balances, capital asset activity in detail. So you'll see beginning balances, the current year, changes, increases and decreases, the accumulated depreciation balances of capital assets, and then your ending balances for the fiscal year. You'll also have, find in the footnotes some detailed information on the library's pension plans and other post-employment benefit plans. So that's all within the footnotes. We also do have a footnote related to that restatement, so it provides a little bit of additional information as to that change in accounting principle. Following the footnotes is a section called the required supplementary information, and on page 34 is where you'll find the general fund budget versus actual. So if you're looking to see how the general fund performed as compared to what was budgeted for the year, that's presented on page 34. And also within the required supplementary information are the detailed historical information on the library's pension plans. So you'll find the IMRF, the MERF plans reported. They're building up to 10 years historical information, and they will continue to be presented for 10 years historical information. The IMRF plan, due to its fiscal year being the same as the library's fiscal year, is presented for the information that was available at December 31st, 2023. Currently, the December 31st, 2024 IMRF information hasn't yet been finalized. It's available, but the audit hasn't been finalized. So due to that timing, the library has elected to report the year prior information, which is allowable by GASB and allows for timely issuance of the library's financial statements. And then following the required supplementary information, there are also detailed budget versus actual schedules for both the general and the special reserve fund. Any questions on the annual financial report before I go through the board communication packet? So the second of the two reports that we issue is the auditor's communication to the board of trustees. And there's two purposes behind what's reported in this smaller of the two packets. We are required by auditing standards to present some information to those charged with governance, and we also, in addition to that, issue the management letter where we communicate any areas or recommendations for improvement for the library based on the testing that's performed as part of the audit. So I'll just kind of highlight a few key communications within this packet here. Beginning on page number 2 of this packet is where you'll find the required communication that is required by auditing standards to note. Once again, here we have highlighted that change in accounting policy. That is a pretty big recurring item that you'll see throughout both reports, and that's just to make a point to state that there has been a change in how certain items are reported in the financial statements, and that did result in that restatement we discussed. We also disclose what are considered to be significant estimates that are reported in the library's financial statements. So as I noted, on that full accrual basis of accounting, those statement of net position and statement of activities, the liabilities that are associated with the library's MERF and IMRF plan, as well as the other post-employment benefit plan, those are calculated by actuaries and based on their expert assumptions, and we utilize their expertise and assumptions, but we're not actuaries ourselves, so we just disclose that we consider these to be, one, they're significant material balances, and they're also, we consider those to be estimated since they are based on assumptions. On page 3, we discuss corrected and uncorrected misstatements. There were only a few adjusting journal entries required as part of the audit process this year. And what that lets you know, those are listed later on in the report, but that lets you know that there weren't any significant number of journal entries, so the reporting that you're reviewing on a monthly basis is pretty accurate. There weren't many adjustments to those shorter term modified accrual basis of accounting balances. Most of the adjustments that we proposed as part of the audit process actually related to those long-term full accrual basis of accounting financial statements. So what you're seeing on a monthly basis is accurate and didn't require much adjustment from an audit standpoint. So it's you're utilizing accurate information to base your financial decisions on. We didn't encounter any disagreements with management or had any difficulties throughout the audit process. So as I noted previously, nothing but professional and timely responses to our requests and assistance with completion of the audit. So had there been any disagreements, that this would not be the first time that those were brought to the board's attention. However, we are required to communicate that, and I'm just pleased to report there were none. The listing of adjusting journal entries is included on page 5 of this packet. And on page 6 is a listing of past adjustments. So these are items that were calculated and considered not to be material to impact the financial statements materially. So rather than reporting those in the financial statements, they are reported in this past adjustment schedule to let you know what the impact would be had they been reported. The past adjustment relates to the subscription-based IT agreements the library has. There was an implementation of GASB 96 that was required in the previous fiscal year, and just due to the nature of that standard, the library has elected, and because it wasn't significantly material, has elected to continue to report these as past adjustments. And then also following that, there's the management letter. We had no items that were considered to be deficiencies or significant deficiencies or material weaknesses as part of the audit process, and the only comments listed here are upcoming GASB pronouncements that may have impact on the library. So there's no items that came to our attention that we consider to be concerning or raise to any level of deficiency or required reporting. Any questions on the board communication? Any questions from you, Kim?
I don't have any. I guess just what is your sense, like the future accounting pronouncements? Which of those, do you have a sense that those could potentially impact us? Or some of your other library clients? I'm just curious.
Probably the most impactful of the future accounting pronouncements would be those were the ones that have been implemented over the past 3 years, so there's been quite a bit that has been impacting the library's reporting. The upcoming pronouncements are pretty, GASB 102 is just this requirement to assess whether there's financial balances that may have constraints or concentrations that need to be footnoted. So that doesn't require much in terms of preparation for that, aside from the auditors gaining an understanding of what the significant revenue streams are and whether there's anything impacting those that could potentially extinguish those. GASB 103 is more impactful to entities that report enterprise or proprietary fund financial statements or include a management discussion and analysis in their financial statements. There's some changes related to that reporting. And then GASB 104, based on our understanding of this, a lot of the requirements of GASB 104 are already reflected in the footnotes to the library's financial statements, so there really won't be much impact from implementation of GASB 104. So, and should be a little bit less coming down the pipeline from GASB as well. I know there's been quite
It
a
seems
bit.
like, you're right, I mean, there's
Quite
a lot
bit
of changes over the past few years about how we're reporting things out, so, yeah.
A little bit of a slowdown on new pronouncements.
Excellent.
Well, very thorough, thank you for going through that with us.
Thank you, Martha, very
You're
much.
welcome. Thank you for your time.
So, yes, I don't like sitting on this room, take for the
We're
rest of
certainly
the
not
meeting.
kicking you out, but please, I know you've had a long day too, so, yeah.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Right. Okay, so we went through the audit, so that moves us on to the consent agenda. Is there anything that anyone would like to pull up the consent agenda before? I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes the regular board meeting minutes for May 8, 2025, the approval of May 2025 financial statements, and the approval of the director vacation request.
I'll second.
Hussein?
Yes.
Renee Sejak?
Yes.
Waldowski?
Yes.
Pelletier, yes.
Alright, so your vacation. Please don't check the email too often when you are on vacation. Okay. Alright, so, then we go on to the president's report. I actually have something which is kind of fun, because I was in the library last week, and I happened to be standing right by the main desk, and Jeff was standing there, and a patron came in and goes, "Oh, you have like newspapers and magazines like in every language. This is such a special library." Like, you know, and then she walked away, and then Jeff said thank you, and Jeff looked at me, and I was like, so it was like just like perfect timing, but you know.
For you to hear that.
I know. He was
We
like,
really didn't plan that.
I do too.
Right?
That's what he said. He was like, I didn't even plan that. Like that was perfect though. So yeah, it was kind of cool to just kind of, you know, be a little bird on the wall and hear that, you know. So, also like to wish the best of luck to Polivio. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, we usually
Yeah.
call him Polo.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so.
Because I know that he's been here for.
He was here for 23 years,
Right,
so
yeah.
he had also had a part-time job at another library, and they finally, for a number of years as well, and they were finally able to offer him full-time employment, so, you know, and he had been wanting that for a long time, so.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that, I hope that's a good move
Yeah.
for him, so best of luck. Okay, so committee reports, finance, we just approved the financial statements, facilities. We'll have further discussion of the bathroom renovation under unfinished. Policy is not due to meet until, is that August?
We have it scheduled, it's actually on our calendars, I don't remember the exact date, but it's
Okay.
sometime in August,
Okay,
I
okay.
believe so, yeah.
Yeah, all right. So that moves us on to staff reports. Is there anything that you would like to highlight or add?
I don't have anything particular to add unless anyone has any questions about either my written report or any of the department reports. Things are moving along. May seem to fly by, so,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I said, I don't have anything particular to highlight this month unless anyone has some questions.
Really loved the connecting with the teen patrons that Melissa shared in her report.
Mhm.
So, is it Me East and then the host of the teen meeting tonight, so love hearing about that.
My son has come a couple times to the library.
I love that.
Make sure you're behaving.
Yeah.
Finals week, it was rough.
Yeah, no joke. Any questions for Pam? Okay, so that brings us on to unfinished business, bathroom renovation. So you met with SMC.
Yeah, this was, so I actually just received this budget today, so I haven't talked to anyone
Okay.
about this or anything, but I did want to pass it on. It's kind of in line with, you know, what I was thinking about spending, so right now, based on my, I think it was either in the notes or in my packet, I think I was off a little bit. The SMC is hoping to have bid documents to me sometime within the next couple of days, so I can get them posted next week. And then right now, the bid opening, I think they'll keep them live for 3 weeks approximately, and then the bid opening will be July 11th, which is the next day of our board meeting. So that won't give them enough time, obviously, to go through the bids and make their recommendation, because SMC will do their due diligence like they did when we did the other renovations, obviously. And so then that would still, the board would then kind of decide how they, officially award those, that work at the August meeting, assuming that everything works out and we are able to move forward, assuming tariffs don't make things go crazy or whatever.
Well, I had a question about that.
Yeah, I did ask.
I mean, I see there's like a 10% contingency.
Yeah, there's always
but-
contingencies built into the budgets prepared by SMC and by product as well. I did ask John Shales about potential tariff increases, and at the time, it was probably a month or so ago that we talked about it. He didn't anticipate any big problems based on the availability of the types of materials that we need, at least as far as we're aware so far. So obviously things can change, but at the time, he did indicate that he didn't think that that would have too much of an impact on us. That he said that even if there were impacts from the tariffs, they would apply to only a certain portion of the materials. And so the overall budget for the project, he said, even if things did really go up in terms of the materials cost, that he would not anticipate anything more than, say, a 3% increase to the overall cost of the entire project. So I was a little bit reassured by that. So like I said, we don't, things can change. We know that, obviously. So we'll just have to wait and see. But I have had that conversation with SMC, and they seem fairly confident that we should be able to move forward around this price point. So, again, I haven't talked to anyone about this or anything like that. I just got it today, so I did want to share that with you guys as well. So.
And this is comparable to other types of cost-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously don't have any.
Yeah, I'm
Experience
happy.
at this scale,
If you
so-
want to see some of the original budget projections and stuff
Yeah.
from, say, the renovation, the lower level renovation and that kind of thing, but I think that the rest of the board can probably speak to that as well. But this is fairly comparable with other things that they've done for us.
What are the alternate columns? What are those?
So they prepared alternates. So the one alternate is, alternate one would be replacing the carpet at the east end of the building. So say from the info east desk east. And then alternate two, I believe, is replacing the carpet in the Baxter room. So depending on what how the bids are coming in, the board can decide at that point whether or not that has left us with enough money to pursue either one of the alternates. So, and those are things that we determined based on previous conversations and talking with SMC and the architects that made the most sense to be done together. So,
Yeah. There are a number of things that we have on our to-do list, I guess, for the facility. And as much as it would be great to do everything we wanted all at the same time, that's
Right.
not fiscally reasonable. So, knowing that the bathrooms were a top priority, it would make sense to then do any sort of extra construction, the flooring, asbestos abatement, flooring in the Baxter, all at the same time, if we can fit that in the budget. So it's kind of just allowing to see what keeping the bathrooms at the top priority and then seeing what else we can fit in.
and actually, I'm sorry, I misspoke. The alternate one is replacement of the tiles in the base, the east stairway going down to the youth services department.
Oh,
So.
okay.
Or they could be flip-flop. But those are the two
Yeah,
alternates.
okay.
One is the stairs and one is the replacement of the carpet in the east entrance in the Baxter room. Both of those, we do anticipate that there would be asbestos
It's an
abatement
old
that would
building.
need to be required.
Yeah.
And like, for example, in the carpet in the east end of the building, is relatively new because that was done in the 2014-2015 renovation, when I wasn't here, but it is our understanding that the mastic that's under some of the carpet tiles does contain asbestos. Maybe not all of them, but at least some of them. And then, and that's true for in the bathroom too. We're getting that tested, but we anticipate that will also be the case. And then the tiles going down to the YS department, those tiles we do know need to be abated.
Yep.
So in 2015, they were still using asbestos-related
Some
products.
of it.
That seems
Mhm.
crazy.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, there are still some products that
We need-
asbestos is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right.
So obviously, over the next few weeks, I'll probably be communicating with you via email just to kind of keep you up to date on, when I get the bid. Yeah, so, and you'll see that because we usually post a link to that on the website, and we're required by law to post it in the papers and stuff, so.
Thank you. All right, so next on the agenda is executive session. I will, however, move up public comments, non-agenda items before we go into executive session, because we might have a discussion and then we'll have to kick you gentlemen out. So I will move up public comments, non-agenda items, to now, if either one of you would like to share any thoughts.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
I'm just curious how many applications that came in, position?
We received
A
13.
total of 13,
Yes.
one of which we are not sure lives within the district, but 12 for sure from Warren Grove residents. Yeah.
Are you an applicant?
I am.
All right.
Are you
Excellent.
an applicant? Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Cool.
I'm Alan.
Hi.
I just recently moved to Morris Grove. We just bought a house on Morris, so I was just trying to
Awesome.
get a pulse for everything and
Yeah.
try to get as civically involved as I can.
Are you the pumping station one guy?
No, that's me.
Oh, that's you? Oh. Awesome.
Well, thank you both for coming.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so we will be going into executive session.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time out of your evening.
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. That's great.
All right, so I will make the motion to go into executive session for the selection of a person to fill a public office as defined in this act, including a vacancy in a public office when the public body is given power to appoint under law or ordinance is allowed per 5 ILCS 122C3.
I'll second.
Move to work.
Yes.
Masager?
Yeah, yes.
Moldovsky?
Yes.
Pelletier, yes. Hussein?
Here.
I'm sorry,
So that's fine, yeah. So we roll called out of open session. We're going to go back into executive session. It is regular session. Apparently all the words jumbled together now. Thank you for catching it. 8:56, going back to open session. We'll roll call it back in. Everybody again, right? Okay.
Flores, absent. Hussein?
Yes.
Jost, absent. Masager?
Here?
Moldovsky?
Here.
Pelletier here.
Okay, nothing to vote on for the items discussed in executive session. We do have action item that we will have interviews coming up on Monday, June 30th at 6 p.m. for the candidates selected. Communications, nothing. Our public left a long time ago, so we are at 8:57 and that is